right, hello and welcome to the Couch Coaches podcast, where we're talking about everything that happened in the last week of sports. Unfortunately, we were supposed to have an Eagles fan, a deacon at the church, jump on, and he's not here, obviously. And I think he did that because he knows they're going to lose and didn't want to come on here and have to tell everybody, yes, I'm an Eagles fan, but I think we're going to lose. So if you guys know out there who are listening, if you guys know the deacon from Emmanuel that lives in Florida, that's an Eagles fan, you let him know that we know that he knows they're going to lose this weekend. So that's the story we're going to go with anyways. All right. So, crazy weekend last weekend. Mostly good games. Deacon Greg, were there any games that stood out to you as a surprise with the outcome, either the outcome or the way it came out?
The biggest one had to be Cincinnati and Buffalo. The way that Cincinnati went into Buffalo and just handled them in their stadium in that weather, and just ran the ball down their throat and threw the ball. So that's the biggest surprise to me. Just the way they came out. I thought Buffalo, would put up you're at home and that's in your environment. Even though Cincinnati is a cold weather team also, but still. Yeah.
Brother Bill.
Yeah, with Deacon Greg, I was surprised that Cincinnati, not just that they had the lead, they played well, but that even after that first score, I never got the sense, especially after the second score, that Buffalo was ever going to win the game. It just seemed like Cincinnati was doing everything on both sides of the ball. They controlled the line of scrimmage throughout the whole game. And that was the thing that was surprising to me. I figured they're going to win because they're the more physical team. But I just didn't expect them to dominate Buffalo and only hold them to 10 points in their place. I don't know if the snow had anything to do with it, but the fact that Cincinnati could still run the ball, which I just believe they would have been able to against Buffalo anyways.
Yeah, the running game surprised me, mostly because I had the running back on one of my fantasy teams, and he wasn't giving me any points, and I ended up trading him. But if he did what he did this weekend during the season, I would have kept him. I was surprised with Jacksonville's defense, the way they've been playing. I was surprised they were not able to take more advantage of a high ankle sprain from a dude that he can't move. I mean, there's high ankle sprains are no joke, and he wasn't going anywhere. And still, which is why I want nothing to do with the Chiefs in a potential Super Bowl, because Mahomes is on like another planet from everybody else.
Well, I would say that even after he was injured, where I thought Jacksonville would have made more of a focus to make sure they could control the running game. Because if you notice, after that, Kansas City made a concerted effort to run the ball, and they still ran the ball effectively. So if I'm a defensive coordinator, I would say, okay, so the quarterback, his mobility is going to be limited. Let me make sure they don't try to beat me running the ball. And it just seemed like Kansas City was still able to do that. Jacksonville didn't make concerted efforts to try to make them one-dimensional and make Mahomes have to beat them.
I agree. I don't know what happened to Jacksonville's defense, because even the backup came in and he was moving the ball on them. He played, I think they would have won with the backup. Mahomes, I think he really wanted to get back in there, but I think the backup was doing all right. So yeah, I agree that they should have, concentrated on trying to stop that run more, and then really got after Mahomes. Even with more blitzes or something to really just, really make him uncomfortable. But yeah, I think, well, that might be a little bit later on down in our topic, so I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, it's surprising to me that, like, if you need to stop one guy on Kansas City's offense, it's Travis Kelce. And he seemed to be opened on like all of the passes that he got. Whatever he caught, 14 passes, 15 passes, he was open on like 12 of them. It's like that's the only dude that you guys have to cover. And and I don't know if Jacksonville runs a zone defense. But zone defenses only work when you play less than stellar quarterbacks. If you have a good, accurate quarterback, zone's never going to work. And I don't know if that's what the Giants were doing. The Giants game to me was surprising because they had played 3 times. You would have thought it'd have been a tighter game, and they just mollywopped them like they was like JV versus varsity. That was just a complete just butt kicking from top to bottom.
Yeah. I forgot about the Saturday games because I was so paying attention to the Sunday games, obviously. But you're right. I mean, I believed that Philadelphia is probably going to win, but I thought it was going to be a closer game.
Yeah.
That looked like a regular season, early season game where Philadelphia was just a better team and they just executed at home. And the Giants were still, it didn't have a feel like both teams were up for that playoff game. It only seemed like Philadelphia was.
Yeah, it's very, very surprising to me too. And then all that talk, they're talking leading up to the game. Oh, Daniel Jones are going to get the extension and all this stuff. And Dave Gettleman, even though, he should get credit for this. And then they just got absolutely stomped and all that talk just stopped. Like, oh, maybe not. Maybe it wasn't so good. So obviously now that we transition to next weekend, to championship weekend, thoughts, Brother Bill, I'm going to start with you. Thoughts on Kansas City hosting Cincinnati?
Cincinnati wins in a close game. The fact that Kansas City's at home, Cincinnati's beat them, and the fact that they beat them 3 times in a row, while I don't put a lot of stake in what's happened in the past because every game is different, but the trend is that Cincinnati has been the more physical team and executed better. I mean, at quarterback, Joe Burrow is legit. No, coming out of LSU, he's just a no doubt that he's got it. And I just think that and Cincinnati has a better defense than Kansas City. If you can get past Kansas City's front line and pass protect, you could pick the secondary apart. And I just, Jamar Chase, if they don't do something, if they don't have a guy over the top on Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow's going to find him all night long.
Deacon Greg.
That was some good points, Deacon Bill. But I mean, Brother Bill. But I
don't say that.
Okay, there you go. See, I'm still going to go with Kansas, depending on Patrick Mahomes. I know that high ankle sprain is nothing to play with, and I don't know what they're going to be able to do with him from here, to the weekend. But they're playing at home, and the point that I think if Kansas City could stop Cincinnati's run game, if Cincinnati can't, if Joe Mixon don't run the ball as well as he was running it last week, I'm going to ride with Kansas City, and I'm going to go with them because I picked them from the start to go to the Super Bowl. So I got to stick with them, even though we have an injury. But you can't take nothing from Cincinnati. That's going to be a tight game. That's going to be a good game, but I'm going to go with Kansas City.
Yeah, I keep thinking about, one, Kansas City's defense, when Mahomes got hurt, Kansas City defense seemed to flip a switch and go up a notch. And they were just, I mean, granted, Jaguars are young and they're still kind of figuring some stuff out, but man, it seemed like their defense was on fire, where it was difficult for them to really do anything. I keep coming back to all those injuries on Cincinnati's offensive line, and Kansas City's defensive line is much better than the Jaguars' defensive line, but that high ankle sprain, and that just doesn't heal. I mean, there's no way it's going to heal in a week. It won't even heal before the Super Bowl, but at least with the Super Bowl, they can go in and do a procedure where they kind of like, it's almost like they kind of rope it together to keep it stable, and he can go in, but you can't do that in a week. Like, you need that 2-week break. And I can't see, with as good as Cincinnati's defense is, and with as immobile as Mahomes is going to be, I can't see him doing that, because the thing that makes him just unstoppable is, he goes through his progressions and nothing's there, and he kind of does a little shift, moves, and then he finds somebody, and it's just he's unstoppable in that. And he can't do that because he can't move. Granted, it is Andy Reid. He knows his quarterback can't move. He has a week to prepare. I think it's going to be an incredible game.
So you still haven't made a pick?
I have to go Cincinnati, just because their defense is really, really good, and Mahomes can't move. So as Reid as good as he is, and Mahomes as good as he is, even on one leg, I cannot see them going in there and not coming out with the win, because it's going to be tight, and Burrow tight is really good, and Mahomes tight, not being able to move is limited.
I think the other place where the ankle sprain will show itself is when he goes to plant to throw, because that's on his right ankle. And if he's Now, again, you counter that, you're right, with the type of pass you throw, so you don't put the weight on that ankle when it goes to throw. But it'll be interesting to see as the game unfolds what his accuracy is like in the how far he tries to throw the ball downfield, or if it's just going to be short passes just because of his his mobility.
I'll be interested to see if they could get a running game. I was looking at that little number 1 and now number 10 guy. They was using them in some different kind of running situations. So I got a feeling they're going to devise something. They ain't going to, they got to have a running game. They can't. Mahomes ain't going to come out there and light it up because, like you said, the intangible things that he does, on the move and out of the pocket, that ain't going to be happening. So they got to devise. They're going to have to lean on those running backs a little bit.
All right, and Deacon Greg, I think I know your answer, but for the biggest game of the weekend, Niners at Eagles, give me your thoughts.
First of all, I'm gonna stick up for my brother that you got on at the beginning of this show. that is not the reason he did not show. I don't know why he didn't, but that definitely isn't the reason. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go with the Eagles at home. I know brother Bill doesn't believe that home field advantage plays a large part in that, but with those fans going crazy, the Eagles are starting to peak again. They're everybody's healthy again. And Jalen Hurts is running the ball. He's not, they're not trying to disguise anything, and so they're opening the offense up. I'm going to go with the Eagles against the Niners. The Niners, will go ahead. That's all right. I'm going with the Eagles.
Brother Bill.
I would say that before watching the Niners Cowboys game, where I knew the Niners were going to cover the point spread of 4 points, I picked them to win by a touchdown. I just believe that they had enough weapons on offense where they would put up enough points, and Dallas had really only a couple of weapons. So the running back who went down, and then 88. That was it. So CeeDee Lamb. So the fact that game was close, now we think about what they're going to do against an Eagles team who, at home, relatively healthy. I haven't seen the defense a lot. Niners by a field goal at the end of the game, meaning in the fourth quarter. And I say that because I believe that Shanahan, I think he's been sitting on some plays during this playoff run. And knowing how close they are to get into a Super Bowl, I expect to see a few surprises. They say every good coach has to have a bag of tricks once they get to the playoffs. And so I'm looking for, so I'll give you an example. The first game that they played against the Rams, where McCaffrey had the 3 touchdowns, running, catching, and throwing, he had to reach into his bag of tricks in order to get that win against the Rams. And that win at the Rams was the first win that started them on their current winning streak. I just think when you get into the postseason, there are certain coaches and teams where when you get close to a Super Bowl, you say, we have to let it all hang out. They've been here before. This Eagle team hasn't been this deep in the playoffs. This team has not. And the Niners, this is their 3rd time going to a conference championship. And they know how to fight for 60 minutes. I'm sticking with the Niners. That defense, that team, I just believe that team is on a mission. You say, but they've got a rookie quarterback. This just in, he's not playing like a rookie quarterback. They have everything they need in order to keep that game close and find a way to get it done in the fourth quarter.
I'm kind of I think these two teams are extremely close as far as on a personnel standpoint. I think there's two very, very tough offenses and very, very tough defenses. What I'm hoping is one, experience does matter. With the coaching, there's not many players on the Eagles that have experience this deep into the playoffs that I can think of off the top of my head besides Ndamukong Suh. He will be a nightmare on third and shorts for sure. I'm also hoping that after watching that Cowboys game that Kyle does have tricks that he was not using in that game, because we weren't exactly moving the ball like I was kind of hoping we were going to move the ball against them. And what I'm hoping is he's either trying to shield Purdy or he's trying to not give away too many tricks. But we've also had in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs and in the Rams NFC Championship game last year, it feels like we get to a point when it's a close game and we're down, and you want to see those trick plays that he has, that you're like, okay, this is where you need to do that, Kyle, and we don't see them. So I am a little concerned with that, because that Eagles defensive front, so they've had 75 sacks this season, which is the most since the 85 Bears. So that defensive line is a nightmare. And then that line's coming at you, and you got to pass fast, and we have the weapons. I'm wondering why we're not using McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell at the same time. I feel like McCaffrey is all around. It's a ridiculous weapon, not a great just straight running back. And I feel like we kind of lose something if we're not able to pick up those like 4 or 5 yards like we were before. If you're not able to pick those up, the play action, even though you've been running play action, if you're only picking up 2 yards a rush, is that going to open up the play action enough? But then I go, we have so many weapons. I can't, with the experience that we have, I can't see. I think it's going to be super close. I think it's going to be super low scoring. And I wonder what happens if the Eagles can open us up with the passing game going deep, because we do have problems when a quarterback can get the ball down the field. What our offense does if we have to play catch up. Like, what does our offense look like?
Yeah, I totally got bad news for you guys, because I don't even think it's going to be close.
Really?
Look, this is my point I was going to make earlier. Dallas's defense was on you guys so hard, and I think it kind of came back to what you were saying about the fatigue factor came in because of the rest. You guys had 2 days extra rest, and I think that kind of caught up with Dallas in the second half. The defense wasn't coming as hard anymore. But in that first half, they were all over you guys. They were and Philly's going to be coming at you all the time. And Jalen Hurts can run the ball way better than Dak. He ain't gonna be standing back there like a statue like Dak. You guys
makes better decisions.
And they're gonna have better running backs. They're gonna have a run. Dallas didn't have no running game, and they were trying to depend on Dak to win with his arm, and that was not going to happen. I'm just sorry that you guys. I think they might just blow you guys right out of the. And you guys talking about these trick plays. There's only so many trick plays you can run. It ain't like you got a big old playbook with all these. You only got like 2 or 3 trick plays. And if you got to get down to trick plays, that means you're in trouble. So
let me clarify what I mean by a trick play. I'm not talking about a flea flicker. I'm not talking about a Philly special. All I'm talking about is, if you notice the Niners, and they've been doing this even since Greg Roman was there. Their formations, they vary their offensive formations pre-snap. So they are intentional about giving the defense different looks. And I mean, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm going to key in, okay, so if Debo's in the backfield, then chances are they're either going to be running him between the tackles or a jet sweep, right? So I'm a couch coach, right? And I'm already picking up on some cues that I've seen kind of watching the Niners this season and the plays they run based on who's on the backfield. So I guess what I'm saying is I expect to see maybe some different looks offensively to try to keep that defense guessing just enough to try to make some plays so that they can control the clock and control the ball. The wild stuff downfield, you're right. I mean, good defenses, that more often than not, that doesn't work. The other thing that I would point out, though, is, Jalen Hurts is running quarterback, but if you look at Philly's schedule this year, they haven't played many teams with a defense that's as fast and hits as hard as the Niners defense. So if he's going to run, that's going to be a business decision, as long as he's running to get out of bounds. If he's thinking about running, I mean, there's going to be some linebackers and a couple of safeties who are going to be ready. I mean, I know he's not a small dude. I'm just saying I expect it to be a close game.
Yeah, I could actually see Deacon Greg. I could see them putting together some pretty good packages, like just kind of set up plays where I could see them jumping out like 10 points pretty quick, but then I could see it slowing down once we adjust. But I could see that because their offense is just, I mean, they were just dinking and dunking all over the place, and the Giants have played them 2 times, and they were just moving the ball down the field, and then the defense is on. And I'm just wondering, without, how good is Sirianni when he hasn't played the team yet? because I know Kyle's pretty good when he hasn't played the team in the playoff, but is Sirianni gonna? I know did you see him running up and down the sidelines when he was doing that weird, trying to get him to go off sides on the 2-point conversion when they were up like 28, and he's running around going, "I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing." It's like,
is it just me, or I don't see Bosa being as dominant and lately as he's been? Is it just me, or is he doing something?
He has
Did you not watch the Seattle game? Come on, man.
That was a fluke.
He's
strip
disruptive
thing. That was
without
nothing.
getting the sacks.
Say that again.
He doesn't have sacks in the playoffs, but he pushes that whole left side of the line in. So it's not like he's not getting to the quarterback, but he's there. They have to direct everything around what he's doing on the side because he's a tank.
And even it's funny you mentioned that to the pass rush, because who was that guy Micah Parsons you were talking about last week? What happened to him in the second half?
Don't go there.
Did he go into the locker room and change jerseys?
And I told you he had help. They were on you guys.
That's my point. Bosa's not always going to get 2-3 sacks a game. They're going to make sure that Bosa doesn't beat him. But there's other guys on that D line that are going to be getting pressure. Just wait and see.
Speaking of your D line, didn't you guys get somebody get arrested this week? But
he's out. He'll be on the plane.
We don't know the
after the Super Bowl.
We don't know.
He'll deal with that after the Super Bowl.
Not the team that wins with class. You guys can't have him on that plane.
We give him a bus ticket. He's getting there. Okay. So I was originally thinking we talk about Cowboys changes. What's very interesting is Dak's contract kicks in next year. So whatever they had limited, they had to get rid of whatever. They didn't pick up the defensive end that ended up going to Denver, and they got rid of Amari Cooper, and Dak's contract hasn't even kicked in yet. So the Cowboys it's going to be interesting next year. Plus, I think Quinn's gone. I bet you Quinn goes to Denver. And after watching, Dak messed up, but I thought the offensive play calling that they were doing against us was really good. I thought they did a really good job. And I think if Pollard didn't get hurt, the game's a lot tighter in the end. I think Pollard getting hurt was hey, sucks, but at least he's on their team and not our team. And because
speaking of that,
worthless.
Ezekiel, his contract, I think he's on the books for I think $12 million or something next year, and that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
So
him and Dak are like 25-30% of their payroll. That's just when you have like a B+ quarterback, he can't be 20% of your payroll, and you can't have this running back that was good his first 2 years, and then he's whatever, and he's not a lineman. We found that out the last play of the game. That dude got flattened.
Yeah, but who called that play? It wasn't him.
That was a weird call.
Why isn't the head coach
and
Kellen Moore, their offensive coordinator, why aren't they being put to task yet?
I thought their game plan, that last play was weird and goofy, but they were, they're 60 yards out. I thought their play calling, I'm watching them play us and I'm going, I don't like how well they're moving the ball against us. And they seem to do that pretty consistently the whole game. I mean, if Dak doesn't mess up, which is why everybody's
like Dak needs a running game. You guys, and that's the same happened to you guys. Your running game finally kicked in. That's when the game was going back and forth. But then McCaffrey started to get loose
the defense
a little
wearing
bit.
Down. Yeah.
And if Dak didn't have that. He didn't have that run support.
When it started for us, it stopped for him because Pollard got hurt. For sure. Real quick, so we got a few minutes left. Greg Roman, who was the Niners offensive coordinator with Cap. He's been with the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. It sounds like he left the team. Like he's got a year left and he's like, I'm out of here. Where do you see him being the best fit for his next job? Or where would you like to see him?
I don't believe he's head coaching material.
I don't think so either.
As an offensive coordinator, where he's more run focused, the team. I don't know enough about the other teams who have good running games and good O-line. I mean, where the running game is the strength of their offense. That to me is the best fit for him. A team that throws the ball 60% of the time, that's not going to be a good fit for him because that's not his style.
Yeah, I agree. I really don't see. I don't see a team. I don't know a team that's out there that And like you said, he kind of walked away, without a plan. He didn't say, so I don't see a team. He might just sit home for a year or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him.
I was thinking, especially after watching the Buffalo game this last weekend, because you already have a high level quarterback. Maybe doesn't make great decisions, but part of that is I think they put so much weight on the passing game. I would be interested to see Roman in Buffalo to help them shore up that offensive line and like have a running game. Because I think it plays differently. You can't even see the field. There's so much snow, and he's throwing the ball like 45 yards. That's not the best strategy to win a game in the snow. And I'm wondering if they brought in he opens lanes up. I mean, Lamar Jackson he's had a ton of red zone passing touchdowns. And I know part of that, I mean, he's obviously impossible to contain, but blanking on his name. The quarterback for the Bills, Allen, he's not like Lamar, but he's still pretty hard to contain. I would love to see them, because it kind of seems like the Bills are fading. Bengals are taking off. Kansas City's obviously 5th year in a row in the AFC Championship game. It'd be nice to see Josh Allen with the defensive head coach. It'd be nice to see him have like a good offensive coordinator. Like losing Daboll, it was obviously huge, because his numbers in the playoffs last year and his numbers in the playoffs this year are drastically different. I mean, like worse than Dak numbers.
Yeah, I agree. That would be a good fit. That would. Yeah, I didn't think of Buffalo. That would be a good spot for
him. You guys think Brady's going to go to Miami or Vegas?
I hope he don't go to Vegas. I hope he don't.
I don't know. I mean, if I'm a team, I don't think that the Raiders need a quarterback like Brady. I think because Stidham showed something, whether he's starter or not, I don't know, but for what Brady is this stage in his career, people talk about he's the GOAT. Okay, sure, but he's 45, and teams, I think enough defenses know what his kryptonite is, and I just don't think the Raiders are a good fit for him. And Miami, last I checked, the Dolphins have a quarterback. Isn't Tua still there? Last I heard. So
yeah, but
his
head's gonna fall off.
Sure, I guess I would be surprised if Brady wound up with either of those teams.
Yeah, he needs to go to the booth. I think that they got a lot of money on the table for him to go into the booth somewhere. So that's where he needs to go. The Raiders don't have a good enough offensive line for him. You see what was happening with our quarterbacks the whole year. So no, he wouldn't be a good fit in Vegas. I wouldn't want him there.
Yeah.
But they're talking about, he's another head case. But Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't mind seeing him over in Vegas. I could handle. I don't know. He got his kind of spaced out a little bit, but I would give him a shot before I give Brady.
See, and my concern with, and I was thinking about this with in terms of like Derek Carr. If I'm Derek Carr, I'm making them cut me. There's no way I'm going to okay any trade, because you have to give up assets to gain assets. And for you guys to get Rodgers, what do you have to give up to get? I mean, Rodgers is obviously insane, and he's obviously very good with Adams. But what do you have to give up in order to get him? Like, what is the team going to have to give up in order to get Carr? Then Carr gets there, and Carr's a whatever. He's a B plus quarterback, B minus.
B minus. He's not a B plus.
So he's a B. So he's a quarterback that needs stuff around him. If you're giving stuff to get him, then he's going to have less stuff when he gets there. If I were him, and I know he's like a nice guy and everything, but you need to just go. You have to cut me. I'm not going to okay anything, and then just go sign with the team.
That's probably what'll happen.
I hope. I mean, if his agent's worth his money and Derek's thinking straight, I mean, he did get benched and go sit home. That's weird. That's a weird move.
He pouted. He took his ball and went home.
That's what I'm saying. It's a little weird.
Hey, I heard you guys got Garoppolo coming back this week.
No, you heard wrong.
You must have
heard that. You must have heard that from the deacon down in Florida. You didn't hear from anybody else.
He's coming back. He's gonna be. He'll be with us. He'll be back up for the Super Bowl. So we're good.
There you go.
All right, you guys. Appreciate your time, and hopefully Oh, please. Hopefully next week we're talking about the Niners, and I don't even care who we play as long as we're talking about the Niners.
Niners Bengals part 3.
Let's do this. The Niners are not going to win, but you notice how I still have on my Raider stuff. I still want to see you guys in Niner gear, even though you guys will be sitting home like me. But just have on your Niner gear.
I have tier marks on my jerseys.
I'll tell you what. If the Niners get it done, then Greg, I think I got your address, so you'll have something to mail from me that I want you to have up on the screen when we talk next Tuesday.
Bill, how many years have you been trying to get me to do something like that? Just tell everybody. How many years?
Oh, a few.
It won't happen.
But this is what love looks like. So I love you, brother. Got to keep trying.
All right, you guys. All right, we'll see you next week.
All right.
All right, see ya.
Cool.
Go Niners.